Welcome in, everyone. This is our flow recap for the week of 9/12/2025 to 9/19/2025. As always, we're going to kind of look at the flow. We're going to look at the full range of the contracts. I am a little under the weather, so I'm not going to dive into every detail like I typically do. For those that are new to joining, you can kind of look at some of the other previous videos. Next week, I'm hoping I'll be back together, but I'm losing my voice and I've been coughing, as you can probably tell. But I did want to get this out. So we're going to kind of just do a quick scan through this. I'll hit on a couple of the bigger pieces of flow, but I just want to kind of get through this as quick as possible. So apologies on this. And we're going to look at the max return of the flow. So we're going to start with last week here. So if you're new to this, I will I always recap the flow that was posted on the previous Friday, because sometimes that doesn't always make a big move until the next week. And if you are new to any of my videos as well, I do need to pop this in here. Sorry, 1 second. I do post everything in real time. Everything, I don't edit my posts or anything, so everything is posted real time. So let's get started here. So the Hertz flow, and this was posted on X as well. Original entry 89 here. We hit our high today of 125. And I will be posting the spreadsheet with this one. I do put some notes in the spreadsheet as well. So this is not going to be diving super deep. I'll release the spreadsheet for everybody as well. But 89 here, hit the high here of 125. Today that's 101.61% return on those. We had the Tesla 926 435 calls. I need to pop this back here 7 days. Here's our entry here, 430. Obviously, Tesla gets a lot of volume here. Makes it kind of tough to know how much of contracts are being passed off, all that. But these gapped up on Monday, hitting the high here of 16. I mean, even if you would have held them throughout the week, you'd still be in profits. But that is a 267.82% return. Meta, again, another one. This was our entry on the 12th. 333 was the entry. I have 340 marked on my sheet. 14 was our high here on the 18th yesterday. And obviously seen a lot of volume here with the flow expiring today. But those max return of 311.76%. Up next, the BABA, the 1017 180s. Again, this was our entry here on the 12th. Coming up here, you can see on the 17th, had a lot of volume come in here. Contracts were actually passed off onto a different whale because you don't see a change in that open interest. On the 18th here, 144.71% on those. All right, so now on to this week here. So this week, Monday, we had the LMND 58 calls. These made a huge move into the end of the week here. So your entry here, 170, obviously hitting the max return here of 370 and finishing 5% in the money. Now, it looks like that whale actually ended up probably closing a big chunk of these that same day. You didn't have a lot of open interest carry over into Tuesday. When we look at that flow here as well, when it came in, let's come back down here. Come down here, and again, flow looks good. I'm always looking for that IV to increase when the flow comes in, that spot price to be coming in at the ask. So here's your IV increase, your spot coming in at the ask. And even though that whale ended up probably passing them off intraday, this was a nice winner. If that whale would have held those. So good move on those. Again, 180 to 370, that's 105.56%. Crocs, this whale actually ended up, so the 15th here. So you can see a lot of volume here. About 660 contracts for that whale. A lot of kind of intraday volume as well. Not seeing that full amount get carried over. Kind of hard to tell exactly what happened there, but can probably assume our whale pass these contracts off here on the 17th. You can see that ask side volume coming in here and no change in that open interest on the 18th. So that whale passed those off for a loss at 160. So that whale would have lost 48.39% on those. So Palantir, the 926, 167.5 puts. Good move on these. Here's our flow, 560. These actually ran into FOMC, giving us a high of 890 here on the day. That is a 57.52% gain. And again, just kind of looking at the flow here. I'm just trying to get these early ones in, so in case my voice gives out and I just kind of go quick at the end. But again, you just see that IV spike when that flow comes in here. Again, the spot is just filling at the ask. Flow looks good there, and obviously it made a good move there. A lot of contracts changing hands with Palantir, so kind of makes it a little difficult to know where and what kind of gets changed. Obviously, you have some volume here on the 17th with no open interest changes, really. I mean, 42 contracts fall off. My guess is they probably sold these off to somebody else about that 531, 593-ish there. But again, that whale for us, the max return, 565 to 890, 57.52%. So up next, we have the WDC 10395 puts. Our flow coming in here, 157 is the entry I have here. Obviously, we got in on that big first candle. Have some flow coming in afterwards, roughly about the same. These actually moved that next day on the 17th during FOMC. These hitting a high here of 185 on the day. So 157 to 185, it's 17.83%. I look for at least anything under 10% I consider a loss. If you've watched my other videos, I kind of talked about adjusting up stops and all that to save my voice. I'm not going to do that in this video, but solid move on those, 17.83%. HIMS, this made a massive move here as well. Here's our flow, 275, hitting our high here of 1005 today. Just kind of looking at that flow again. You see when that flow kind of comes in here, your IV spikes here, and actually at the time, so HIMS was really beaten down on the day as well. So IV is going to be a little skewed as well, but big spread, and look where that fill is coming in. That should draw your attention right there. So those making a move there of obviously the 275 up to 1005 there, which is a 269.49% return. Mara puts here. So these, again, making a decent little move here. I'm going to see if it'll let me pop. Okay, so here, nope. I'm going to have to go back to... So 16th they came in. Actually, let's see. Oh, I got to do one more day, sorry. So 16th came in, 69 was the fill, had about 600 or so contracts come in here. These actually ran that next day up here, hit 83 for a high. I have, actually, let's see, let's go to the 17th, 94 for a high. Obviously, spreads are going to kind of widen. This was during FOMC as well. So that was a max return of 36.23% on those. These may have actually been sold at the ask, because when you look at them here, have 5,200 there, 26. Nope. Okay, I was going to say these may have been bought back here, but it looks like they actually got added in here. So that whale may have added to these, so that's kind of interesting to see that. But those did make that move from the 16th there to the 17th. For a 36.23% max return. ARC puts we got in these right at open here. These, I'm going to pop this back to 3 days now. Entry here, 261 for us. Had some other ask side candles come in here. Then during FOMC is when we had our spike here. Kind of hit that high almost twice here. I mean, you got 320 and 333 here, and then even with the spreads kind of widening and IV going up on the contract. So you had a high of 350. So that's a 34.10% gain there. Up next, we have the 10-3 cipher 13 calls. Our flow coming in here. We'll look at the flow. Let's come down here. And usually I don't, and for those that are new to joining this, I usually will not rush through my flow recap like this. You can hear it that I'm kind of dying. So, but again, you see that IV spike here. Flow's coming in at the ask, just following that IV up. You look good there. That's where we ended, 97, and then you're 137.29. And we actually ran into close here. Flow opened up pretty high. Looks like our whale got out at 110. You can see a lot of volume here, and then about half of that kind of dropping off here on today's volume. So some contracts changing hands, etc. But hitting a high here of 126. They did hit that 120 yesterday as well too. But max return 29.90% on there, 97 to the 126. Circle, we had a lot of flow here on the 18th. So let's pop this down here. So this whale looks to me like they got out same day. Obviously, you can only see some of that volume carrying over. Here's our entry. You look at that flow, you know it's short term. It's very aggressive. That IV spikes here. You're coming in at the ask, wider bid ask spread there. Ran that same day, obviously some flow coming in here as well, and then you hit that high of 397, actually 420 on the day, and then today it made its big move here of 530 on the day. That's 82.76% there. So a good move on those, 290 to the 530, 82.76%. Netflix here. This was actually our original entry here. Smaller whale, 600 contracts traded. And then you see the other flow. So this was our other whale here. So flow kind of coming down here, but we're seeing a lot of volume here today. Contracts closed at that 228, 229-ish area. So the whale's down 36% with a week left on these. So interesting to see what happens with these. Only 5% out of the money. Marvel, the 926.80 call. Again, another one with kind of a lot of contracts being traded here and just a lot of intraday movement, just not a lot of that carrying over. Kind of hard to know what's coming off, what's being added. Would want to check this on Monday to see how much of this actually carries over. They could have been adds at the bid. But these contracts closing at about that 77-ish, so that whale down 38% on those. QQQ calls from yesterday. Good move on these, 662. Kind of choppy that same day, a little drop, and then obviously closing near the high here today. 754 was the high, closing at 749. I'm just kind of looking at that flow here. I just want to hit on a couple of them while I can. 1556, you just see that IV increase all the way up. Spot price going all the way up. Like that's textbook flow right there. BBY, these actually made a good move yesterday, intraday. 61 here. And you see it kind of drop, and then we actually popped and hit 80, actually 83 for a high yesterday. I just have 80 marked here. So it's a 33% gain. You know it's a little shorter term. I'd have a stop on probably. You're up for a decent part of the day. I mean, you're still up 10-15% in this area. Whale looks to still be in, obviously, with some time, or with about a week left on them. The CMC SAs, 36 here, closing at 27. Whales down 25% with a little time on those. And then, let's see, where are we? The ALAB 1017. Oh, wait, no, we got to do JD. Sorry, 1031 JD 40 call. Slower mover. 104, I mean, they kind of came up a little bit through the day, hit their high here today of 140, so that's a 34.62% gain. I mean, you'd be up, these ran that same day, and I mean, pretty up for most of the day today as well. Obviously, end of the day, we kind of dropped a little bit. We have the 1017 ALB 240 puts. These made a move instantly. 907 or 907 contracts, big whale there, 1.1 million. 1289, these popped right away, came back down, and then actually it made the big move today, obviously. 24 for a high, that's 86.05% max return on those. Then on to today's flow, the NXE 112110 calls. Good move on these. 5,000 contracts here. Just kind of coming down here, I'd like to look at that raw flow. Come here to the first page. Again, you just see how that IV spikes when that flow starts to come in. Spots coming in at the ask there. Then just see, oh, okay, sometimes it's going to back out like that because I ended up clearing that. But you just see how that IV's formed all the way up. Flows coming in at the ask. You got your net call premiums spiked. A lot of call volume. Obviously moving throughout the day, 45 here, closing near the high of the day, 60. So 33.33% intraday move on those. And up last, the 1121 NVTS 7 calls. Again, another slower mover, but 110 is your fill here. Take a peek at that flow. Back here, and you just see right when that flow comes in, that IV spikes, that spot's coming in at the ask. And oh, I gotta go back here. Sometimes it messes up when you try to go back after kind of getting rid of some of the filters. So IV again staying up here, spot coming in at the ask, flow looks good. Your net call premium spiking, good sign there, and those hitting a high of 133 today. That's a 20.91% intraday move. So that's our flow for the week. Apologize on the shortened video. Obviously, you can probably hear it on me, but that's all I got for this week. Have a great weekend, everyone.